Susan, if you could manage the minutes here.
Susan, will you help us produce this
You
show?
could just take some minutes.
And my stinky dinks.
How are my bangs? Banging?
You have never not been banging.
Thanks, dude. That's honestly so nice. Well, welcome back to the Lore Zone. Or if this
We're
is your
back.
first time, what the heck are you doing here?
If this is your first time, you should probably go back an episode.
Potential.
Silly goose.
You silly goose, but we're glad you came back. I can't believe it.
Who would have thunk? We thunk.
We thunk and we hoped and we prayed and we said,
We said, Lord,
help us.
ma'am, if you're up there.
My lady.
So, you want to move to Los Angeles.
Maybe don't. But
Maybe do.
Or do.
Maybe after listening to this episode, you'll have some more input.
For your
Decision-making choices.
I think you probably went through this when you first got here. When you leave a hometown like ours, I left Albuquerque. She left a Phoenix/New York. She kind of bopped around a little bit. But I came directly from my small town. And everybody within the first year was like, that was so sick. I want to move to LA. How'd you do it? And I was like, I couldn't tell you what
Don't
just
remember.
happened. That was a whirlwind. And so don't do anything that I did.
My first year, I had an older boyfriend, so it wasn't the typical shit show. It was a little chaotic in a different way, not in a sceney, fun party way.
Did you have any expectations of what you thought it would be?
Well, yes. I used to go to summer camp out in Malibu, and all my friends out there were from the South Bay, so like Palos Verdes, Redondo. So I came to visit gorgeous towns, lovely little beach towns. I thought every inch of LA was going to be like those towns. And then you plop me in the center of this place and I'm like, why is there so much concrete?
What?
Where is the horizon?
What is going on here?
Yeah. Why is it?
What do you mean,
Why are the
K-Town?
cars moving so fast?
What was the first neighborhood you lived in?
Pasadena with that old guy.
That is the most.
not even-
I moved to LA with an old guy
Yeah.
place to
Not
be.
even with him. I had my own place, but it was over there. And then we broke up and I slungshot myself to Santa Monica. And I was like, the youth.
You.
I am one of these. Yeah.
She went in with the youth.
So-
I don't know if when I moved to Los Angeles, I had a set expectation of what I envisioned it to be. I think I was 20 years old. I didn't have a single thought in my brain, but I just thought, well, this will be fun. And then the reality was like a culture shock, but not in the way that one might think. I realized at 20 years old that Einstein's Bagels was in fact not a local bagel shop. It was in fact a large franchise.
It tasted local back in the day.
It tasted local back in the day. And I also remember being so blown away at the amount of billboards, because where I come from, the most notable billboard is 1-800 if you're hurt, call Bert, which is like a bad lawyer's billboard.
It's like Call Saul.
It's better, literally better, like, hello, it's Albuquerque. It's literally Better Call Saul. So to see a bunch of billboards, I'm like, oh, there's enough people here and they care about what these people are consuming.
Yes.
And so that makes a lot of sense. So those are like my two big culture shocks, aside from the chaos that is Los Angeles that you first get thrown into.
I don't know if I had any specific culture shocks, but I definitely had an expectation that was squashed. Not necessarily in a bad way, but more of like well, we're here now, so.
So you always knew Einstein's Bagels was
Yeah.
that was it.
I had one of those down the street in Phoenix, and then also down the street further there was another one, and then there was another one, and then I saw them at the airport too,
And so you put two and two together.
Yeah, I
And you
said-
really went and did that. Personally, when I first moved to LA, I got thrown into a group that was the literal definition of what people will like chew you up and spit you out kind of thing. And I remember it shifting my brain in all the worst ways. I was this really, I hate to say free spirited, but I didn't think about anything ever. I showed up to Paris Hilton's 4th of July party with a 4 logo. And I thought that was tight as hell. And so then I got thrown into this group that was very in the scene, and that element of being jaded and the structure of male versus female energy, that women are there to be accessories and be beautiful and not have an opinion about things, was made aware to me very quickly. And I think it was like a traumatizing experience in a lot of ways, because you're so green. And so I think that world automatically pulls you in. And it's like, you come with us, you come here now. And then you get there and you're like, is this how the world is? I remember having that thought, is this actually how things are? And this is how people connect, and in this like very vapid, superficial way. It was scary.
It's so funny because, not funny, obviously.
Drama.
Silly funny, that's what makes us who we are today. My party hellscape experience was, I feel like I learned the same lessons as you, but in a very different way.
Yeah.
It was more like just excessive drinking and substances and partying nonstop. Not necessarily with the promoters at the club, but I remember being parallel to them and watching that kind of unfold and thinking that was the in crowd. and being like, oh, well, I'm just partying with my friends.
Well, yeah, they convince you that it is. Like
Yeah.
the guy that I dated when I first moved here was so impactful on my mind in the worst possible way that if I wasn't in that crowd, then my life didn't mean anything in Los Angeles. Like I need to look and act a certain way. And I was definitely professional model adjacent. Turns out I got hotter later in life. That's really cool. But I was also so insecure and didn't know how to carry myself in that whole world. And he made me like painfully aware of that. And then when we ended, and I started leaving that group of friends and I still kind of like tried to stay in that world, it was the most anxiety ridden and depressing time in my life. I was so unsure of myself and so lost. And I almost envy that you didn't get thrown into that you were just partying with your friends, because I was going out to these parties and I wasn't even partying because I was so scared of
Being
not
perceived wrong.
that I wouldn't drink too much. I wouldn't do anything, which is crazy because I was an alcoholic at one point. But I was so hyper aware of myself in that world that I wouldn't go out of control. And I just wish I was letting loose a little bit.
That's so funny. I was like, I wish I had some guardrails that would have me be afraid of going out of control, because I was just winging it.
And that's fun. And I found that later when I
Yeah,
finally
true.
found real community, which I think is the most important part of why you end up staying in LA. Because I think anyone listening to that would go, well, why the fuck are you still here, dude? That actually sounds awful. But the reality is that was a year of my life. And then I found actual friends and actual community. And that's where I did start to feel, oh, I'm safe here. I can just do whatever I want. And that's when I started drinking. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll drink that. Drinking was my biggest one. I kind of stopped the drugs at that point. Drugs were like 19. Dark. Sorry, brain. I didn't mean to do that damage to you.
I think I smoked weed for the first time at 19. I was a late bloomer. And my party years started when yours were ending. I mean, I partied in college, but who didn't? And then
Par for the course.
But like my adult partying started right a
Sober.
year before I met you.
Yeah, right.
Probably
And
the
that
year you became sober.
literally 26. Yeah. So I think that was like a big shift in why I ultimately ended up staying and not getting thrown back to Albuquerque, because that wasn't a sustainable world. I think for either of us in different ways. Like
think-
that lifestyle was not sustainable.
I think also it seems that everyone goes through different journeys here. They live different lives here, and I think that's like the point of being here, where you look back and you reflect on that life time ago, you know, and you almost have to prove to yourself, regardless of all the shits, like I'm still here. And not that we're like trying to be Oscar winners and stuff, like the stereotypical move to LA type stuff. It's just like a city where you kind of want to prove that whatever happens, you know, 2 feet on the ground type.
And I think that intention of, well, I can make it and I'll show you kind of feeling evolves. Like mine was definitely, when I started that, a very jaded sense of self. And I was like, oh, you'll watch me. I'm going to make bank. My mom will tell you all the time. I used to say that when I was like 20, 21. I'm going to make bank, mom. Who the fuck? Rein in this little 21-year-old girl. It was almost this anger with it. And now I feel like the 2 feet on the ground sense of self is, oh, I don't even need any of that to know that I am evolved past those men that made me feel so small, those girls that rolled their eyes at me because I wasn't in designer clothing, and like that whole world that made you feel so small, because it's designed to make you feel that way, that you can just go, oh yeah, babe, I'm actually so good, I don't need any of that.
I think I spent 6-7 years partying in different phases of it, and now that I'm not really doing that, I'll go out to an event here and there, but I'm like, is that whatever we were just talking about, is that still happening?
Yeah, are people still going to
Like,
clubs?
do promoters post-COVID, do promoters still exist?
What are they doing?
Like, I live by all the clubs, and I don't feel like I see much going on.
Yeah,
but
I can't tell if that was like a sign of the times or if it's still happening and we're just so removed from it. I love all, okay, here's my thing now. Yes, like we all had party phases, and I think another big reason why I stayed in LA is I love the food scene. I live to eat. I want to eat good meals. I want to go out to nice restaurants and wear cute outfits, and I can't do that anywhere else. I mean, New York, but
I was
like,
going to say, nobody tell her that the scene in New York is so much better. Do not tell her. Earmuffs, Paisley. Do not
'Cause
tell
I'm
her,
not allowed to
you
leave
can't
LA.
leave here. Yeah.
I'm not
She's
allowed
like,
to leave LA.
She called me the day. She's like, should we? And I moved to New York, and I was like, no.
there's a big piece of me that always wanted, but I feel like I missed that window to be in my 20s and like grind in New York, and I don't feel
there's-
like I want to do that.
But
at this
there's
age.
a different window.
There's a different window.
We're in a higher tax bracket in New York.
in a more evolved version of myself.
Because I think, yeah, being scrappy and poor in New York is like, you know,
a rite of passage.
yes. And I do think you missed that window. I wouldn't
For
recommend
sure.
being scrappy in early 30s.
I'm so on that side of TikTok that's like, I turned my 250 square foot apartment into and I was like, you live in what?
Yeah.
I need 250 square feet of closet space
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point.
It's brutal.
That's all I think about when I see these videos. I go, where are all of your clothes?
Yeah. I look back at the spaces I lived in New York, and I do not know how I did that. I think that's why I'm a minimalist. You know, well, minimalist.
You're more of a minimalist than I am.
Yeah, I have like 4 outfits. She has. The limit does not exist.
I have a problem,
I
and
am-
that's okay.
In another life, we are the same size, and I could borrow all of her fantastic clothes. But
They're really cute and really
they're
nice.
really cute. Her coats are universal.
I do have a
so.
good coat collection for
One-
living in a city that never drops below 60.
Yeah. One night she was trying to convince me to go out.
The
film.
first time we told people we were launching, she came over, I made dinner, we had a bottle of wine, and then friends of mine were going to Sunset Tower Bar, which is one of my favorite spots in LA. And I was like, we've got to go.
I'm
We
in
have to
I'm
go.
in slides and sweats, and she's like, just throw on this amazing coat. I was like, this is amazing, but it will not counteract the rest of what's going on.
I take the Carrie Bradshaw method, and I think you can just put on a fur and then everything's an outfit.
With a face card like that, you can.
That is actually a really nice thing to say.
I guess my mullet could maybe hold
Your
down
mullet
the
can
fort.
do
but
anything.
I would need a little blushy poo on there, you know?
I have so many blushes.
You do have blush. All right, all of the tools are here. I was just tired.
So, okay, you moved to LA and you're dating an old man in Pasadena, and then you
Yes.
come out on the other side. When you first got here, did you think you were going to marry that man? Like, did you think you were moving?
I
to, like,
think
be with the
it's so
husband?
funny in hindsight. I'm like, I never even liked that man. I think you get in your little comfort zone, as we all do, and we can't imagine getting out of the comfort zone, even though I was uncomfortable. You don't know though until you're out of it.
You don't know till you have 20.
Then we broke up a bunch of times, like for stupid reasons, obviously. And we won't go maybe for another episode. But then I slung shot to Santa Monica. I'm still chasing the happiness I felt during those years, even though they were very party bender years. That's the first time I experienced joy at that level.
Well, I think because you had a really great community around you.
Yeah. A work friend introduced me to this girl, and then the whole city just became this spider web of connections, and I had a really good time. Exhausting, but I had the best time for 5 years. 6
Well,
years.
and that's why we call you now the unofficial mayor of Los Angeles, because you cannot take Callie anywhere without her running into at least 3 people she knows. And it's the most like someone will just be walking down the street and she'll just go, oh, and then just flag them down anywhere we go. Oh, that's my cousin from this, and I did this, and then oh, I met her one time. Like, she's so good at remembering people. I feel like my brain during that time has just blank slated so many people. I have no idea. Everyone's a blob. Callie knows everybody.
But yeah, I think that was the perspective shift for me. That first year with the boyfriend was hard, and I was like, I don't know about LA, and then meeting amazing people, which everyone says you can't in LA, and I was like, yeah, hello. I think if you have good intentions, and I think if you're unsure of yourself, which it's hard to even tell in the moment if you really are, but looking back at myself in college, I feel like I was kind of a bitch sometimes out of envy and insecurity to really incredible friends and roommates, and not that I was outwardly mean to them, but I remember internally feeling like just pissed that I wasn't as pretty, or whatever,
Resentful.
yeah. And I think if I had moved to LA with that mindset, things would have gone very differently. But I think it's very important to have truly a sense of self before you get here. Obviously, not a requirement, but it helps when making friends, or else you end in the promoter traps or the model houses that is just like vapid,
Spooky.
whatever. But it's that's advice that it's like you have to be really self-aware, and you don't even know that you're insecure.
You don't even know.
So I don't know, it's just something to think about.
I think if you're looking at moving into LA, or you're in a place where you feel some of the hardships that we've described here today, and you're like seeking that sense of self and you don't really know where to begin with it, I think the best thing is to listen to your intuition, like your body, your heart. Like, this whole space will always tell you exactly what is right for you.
Never listen to it, but yeah.
And I've listened to it a quarter of the time, but
yeah.
all the times that I do, it takes me to the right place. And then we find ourselves sitting on a couch like this with a best friend and going, oh, I listened to my gut and it brought me here.
Yeah, every lesson we've learned brought us here, so I'm not upset about any of it.
No, I used to be mad at her. I used to be like, oh my God, girl, that was so cringe. That was so embarrassing. Why'd you do that? And now I'm like, that's my fucking dog, dude. I'm so proud
Come here,
of you.
give me a hug.
Come here and give me a hug. Also, like, where's your mom? Somebody needs to be taking care of you.
Why are you wearing that?
Why are you wearing?
Anyways,
Ultimate guide to surviving in LA. What are some tips and tricks we can give little baby heads to make sure they make it through the trenches if they come to Los Angeles?
Have just a sliver of sense of self.
or
before getting here.
a really good therapist,
Or a really good therapist.
or both.
Don't. I say don't, but look, we're doing fine now. I mean, I came here with a boyfriend.
Yeah, be cautious when moving for love because it's an expensive city. And if you guys commit to an expensive lease, one of y'all is stuck with that. And that's hard.
Yeah. Like, I'm really glad he got me here. At least
Sure.
I had that thought in my brain, but I've never enjoyed myself in a relationship in LA more than single versions of me in LA.
100%.
You know?
I think finding community is really important.
Yeah.
I think that's like the end all be all is like you have to surround yourself with good people and to not be afraid to let go of the bad ones.
Yeah.
I think especially with the scene or the industry, there'll be people that come into your life that you feel like you have to keep in your life in order to have access to something that, guess what, doesn't even really exist. The idea of it that they all contrive is not even real. It's not even a real place. It doesn't even actually exist, but it feels so consuming when you're in it.
Totally.
And so don't be afraid to cut ties with bad people because you think you'll lose access to something.
And on that note, don't be afraid to not go to things. You know, like I had this internal rule that I had to go to every single event, party, whatever. Any turn in the city could change my life, and not necessarily like fame wise, but just I was like addicted to the high of the city and like seeing everything, meeting everyone.
It's okay to have FOMO.
Yeah, it's okay to rest. I didn't
It's okay to rest.
for 6 years, and now I can't get off the couch.
So we're taking our rest time now.
Yeah, and then we come back.
And then I also think don't believe any older man that gives you the "you're a star" speech.
Oh yeah.
That's a hard one. If you come out here with any sort of intention of being a creator, an actress, a model, or anything, and some old guy gives you this like, "You're it," take it with a grain of salt. Do not let yourself get wrapped up in it. Do not work for exposure. Do not take exposure as a paycheck.
Do not sign on with management that doesn't provide at least some statistic of success.
Yeah, look at some data. Also, you don't have to overextend yourself in order to appear a certain way to be in front of people. Like, don't get yourself into debt trying to portray a certain lifestyle. Don't take on a bill that you can't handle just so you can stay out here. It's okay. It's an expensive city. It's a really financially consuming city. And don't let yourself get too wrapped up in the presentation of it all and sacrificing your financial freedom because of that.
Yeah, really don't get caught up in the presentation, because I guarantee you no one else is thinking about you. They're all thinking about themselves, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of like, I find it a good thing because it takes the pressure off of a lot of things. You judge yourself more than anyone else is judging you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
Be
Move with good
yourself.
intentions.
Be a nice lady.
Be a nice lady.
Be a
Maybe
nice
get
lady.
a dog if you
Dogs
can
are really
financially
good.
support it.
Yeah, that's actually really nice.
Yeah.
Release the idea that you'll ever experience a season change again.
Oh yeah. I do miss the seasons, but then I get 3 mile per hour winds and it's the end of the world.
I can't handle this. It's 58 degrees out.
Also, this might be newly relevant, but with the world collapsing in front of our eyes, maybe research natural disaster prone areas before committing to living situations.
And that's why Callie is Google, because
Yeah.
I would have never thought of that.
Because these last wildfires, both of my previous apartments, Pasadena and Santa Monica, were in evacuation zones. So thinking about that, I'm like, okay.
Stay aware, stay vigilant. Vote for
Download
the right
the
people.
Watch Duty app.
Vote for people who believe in climate change.
Yeah.
So that California can still exist.
Yeah.
And that's probably my biggest key insight for living in LA. I think also probably my biggest takeaway is ridding yourself of the idea of living in LA, of like Hollywood, like any sort of preconceived notion or stereotype about like what this city meant, to just completely release all of that and live within it for what it means to you.
Yeah.
And what feels good to you and what feels rewarding to you is like how you want to live your life, how you want to exist day to day.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any time I romanticize the city, and I feel like that got squashed real quick, but we've all been to a lot of parties, you know, parties,
Brushed elbows.
brushed elbows, and I can't think of a time where I was like, that was amazing. You know, it's more like the dance parties with my friends that my friends who DJ put on. Like those are the memories of a lifetime. Those parties that were so stressful to get into or just had all the people in them, I was just kind of like, Except for that Little Nas X one. That was really fun.
Oh, that was really fun. But that was because we were all having the best time ever. We were like a great group of girls having a really fun time.
True. It was the community.
It was the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime I've had an unbelievable experience, it's because I'm with the right people. It doesn't matter where I am.
True.
You know? But yeah, a majority of the times where you're like, okay, I can only get a +1, but we have to be this party. Everyone just stands there. And then everyone later was like, that was a movie, dude. That was so crazy. Like, can't believe I got to, like, big ups.
Yeah, I got the shot. I got the video pan.
Yeah.
Like, that was the highlight of the night. To prove I was there.
Okay, what's my question of the day for you? My question of the day for you is, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my God. I'll be 45.
Okay, what's 45-year-old Callie doing on like a
She
Tuesday?
definitely has a dog by then. Come on.
For sure.
My life's half over. Like, I better have a fucking dog by 45. I see myself not living here.
Oh,
Not
massive.
maybe not living in the center of it all. Maybe still living in California because hopefully we secede within the next 10 years.
And we're taking In and Out with us.
Yeah, we're taking In and Out. We're taking the coastline.
I'm taking the dog, dumbass.
Yeah, we're going to join Canada or something. I don't know. But maybe just further away from
The city.
the city.
Okay.
I can't picture who it's with, like the family structure, the traditional family structure. I'm not opposed to it by any means, but I'm just kind of winging the whole thing.
I love that.
I don't know.
That's really good.
Yeah, I just would love to be financially stable for 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes.
Just 5 whole minutes.
5 whole minutes, she's financially sound.
So yeah, where do you see yourself in 15 years? Because that'll be the same time as
Okay,
me.
so when I'm 45,
Yeah.
I hopefully have kids.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because if I haven't popped them out by then, I don't know if there's any active science that will get me to have them at that age. But never say never. Who
True
knows?
science.
There's modern miracles every day. I don't know if I see myself in LA proper, but I think I love California so much because you can bop around. So I see myself still being in the state. My mom's here now, so that makes sense for me that she can come help with whatever little babies I have. And hopefully Peach Honey is this big self-sustaining business. And I don't have to do everything all the time for it. That would be super tight. I don't want to be 45 packing joints still. And
That's what your kids will do.
that's what my kid. And I want to reinstate child labor laws that allow them to work 14 hours a day.
Their motor functions are really good.
Their fingers are small. They're perfect for the tasks. And just still being surrounded by a whole lot of love and friendship and community.
I do have the vision we all daydream about jokingly. You have mentioned it, Kiana, as well, of getting giant acres of land,
Yeah.
having independent houses all next to each other, maybe a shared pool. Or,
Yeah. Oh, and also I want to be at this point that I have a big house that I host a big crazy Christmas party at every year.
And I would love to be able to walk to it.
Yeah, that would be so nice.
And walk home from it.
And that's where I see myself at
Yeah.
45.
I see myself nearby.
I see you nearby
You
too.
know? I would love to raise your kids.
That's really great.
You know?
Well, if
You're like, thank God. Free labor.
okay, great. Well, if you want to see us evolve into those beings, make sure to follow, like, subscribe,
All the
Spotify,
buttons you
YouTube.
can see, press any button you see on the screen.
Literally any of them. Instagram. Share this. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah.
If you have anything you would like us to cover on the podcast, we are always open to suggestions in the comment section or DMs.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we love you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with us again, and we can't wait to see you next week.
We'll be back.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.